international bond market. I don't think I'm going to keep you guys the whole time here. I decided I'm going to add chapter 13 to the first homework assignment as well, so that you can have a lot of practice before the exam. So, first homework assignment is going to be based on chapter 5, 7, and 13. We're going to talk 14, I'm sorry, interest rate and currency swaps. Since they're all kind of connected, I wanted to do one involved one. So I won't post that until Wednesday next week. But I'll give you enough time so that you can complete it after coming back from fall break. For those of you who weren't here on Monday, we're going to have the first midterm on October 1st, Wednesday, which is going to cover chapters. Let me see what I said. Just, yeah, 5, 7, 11, 12, and 14. 11 and 12 are mostly descriptive stuff. The quantitative stuff is going to be on 5, 7, and 14. And I'll also post some individual problem videos for you guys sometime this weekend so that you can practice on different problems. They're mostly back of the chapter problems that looks at all sorts of stuff. And the numerical problems that you're going to get in the exam is going to be very similar to those. Obviously, they're not going to be identical, but very similar. So make sure you watch those videos. That's my way of saying I'm not going to do specific examples in class. We kind of do a little bit, but if I do a lot of examples in class, then we can't finish more than 5 chapters a semester. All right. One of the things we're going to think about in international bond markets are credit ratings. Just like we have credit ratings in domestic bond markets, we have bond market credit ratings. Kind of, you need to think about 2 layers of credit ratings. If you're a foreign issuer, basically the ceiling for your credit rating is the sovereign rating. If I'm a Turkish firm, let's say I'm Turkcell, which is the largest cell phone provider in Turkey, okay? And I am issuing bonds to finance my investment into next generation of stuff. For example, they recently started 5G. I'm sure they're already thinking about the next version. So what rating am I going to get? Well, that depends upon the so-called sovereign rating. In international bond markets, corporate ratings are always either at the same level or slightly less than the sovereign rating. Sovereign rating is the ratings assigned to debt issued by sovereign nations. There's a big difference between a sovereign rating of AA versus Apple having a AA rating. If Apple doesn't pay you, you have actually recourse. You go to U.S. bankruptcy courts, and as the collective bondholders, they say these guys have not met their obligations, so you ask the courts to declare bankruptcy, and bankruptcy courts has a lot of stages. Either they sit down with the debt holders and the company, they agree on some sort of payment schedule, or they say, okay, we're going to sell off the assets of this company and we're going to distribute to creditors. Or they could do debt equity swaps. Sometimes it's better for the debt holders to say, okay, you don't have enough equity, enough assets to pay us, but how about to cover those, we take over all of the company and we manage the company ourselves. Because anytime you go to liquidation, they're almost tantamount to fire sales because you know that bankruptcy court is going to sell it to the highest bidder. And a lot of times those guys kind of collude. You see this sort of stuff. I mean, this happened to me. Technically, it happened to my ex, but since my name was also on the mortgage, it affected me too. My ex forgot to pay one a portion of 1 year of residential taxes in 2023. That was the year she moved from Lexington to California, and the whole thing was $120. Okay, and she wasn't aware that that was still outstanding because she didn't get the mail, yada yada yada, and government basically put a tax lien on the property. One company, they call themselves investment company. They bought this tax lien, and about 2 years after we were about to renew or convert the home equity line we had on that property, because the damn thing has more than $500,000 in equity. The home equity line was going to convert to a regular mortgage, but turns out there's a lien on that. Since it's a government lien, it takes precedence. These guys wanted started foreclosure procedures. I mean, for $120. I mean, they wanted $5,000, but I said, I'm going to do some installments for you because they charged close to $2,000 in lawyer fees. The lawyers themselves own the investment company. I don't think they spent more than 2 hours on the whole thing. So, but these guys have you for your cojones. What are you gonna do? So I'm making, actually, I got two left. Uh, Payments of $500 for 6 months. I ended up paying over $3,000 for an outstanding lien of $120. But when it comes to sovereign, things are different. Suppose you lent money to government of South Sudan, or using my recent example, Eswatini, the old Swaziland. And these guys decided, okay,